Before history was written, order had already been decided. They believed the symbols carried meaning, not instruction. What was recorded did not always begin with the hand.
The system did not ask for understanding, only repetition. Deviation does not announce itself, it accumulates.
Repetition was never meant to change, yet something had already begun to. The structure remained, but its rhythm no longer held.
What could not be seen began to influence what could.
Control does not vanish, it transfers.
The eye sees what it expects, until expectation fails. Alignment was never guaranteed, only assumed.
What was constant began to separate from what was observed.
The boundary was not marked by stone, but by change.
Recognition does not arrive as knowledge, but as misalignment.
The body continues, even when the mind begins to hesitate. Sequence defines order, until sequence begins to fail. When order shifts, it does not break, it reassigns.
The space does not change, but its behavior does.
Patterns exist, even when they are no longer visible. The system does not reveal itself. It reorganizes what is already there.
What follows is not caused, it is triggered. Preparation begins before intention is understood.
Alignment is not chosen, it is imposed.
Once the pattern forms, resistance becomes irrelevant.
The moment of alignment is not the beginning, it is the confirmation. The first movement is never the beginning, it is the response.
The body follows the pattern before the mind recognizes it.
Repetition is not learned, it is activated. Once the pattern holds, it no longer requires guidance. The sound begins where silence cannot hold.
Once repeated, it no longer belongs to those who begin it. The sound does not emerge. It is revealed.
Once heard, it cannot be separated from the body.
The body does not produce the sound, it adapts to it.
What begins as sound becomes structure.
Control is not taken, It is redistributed. The smallest motion reveals the deepest structure.
Variation is removed when the system completes itself. When control is complete, awareness becomes irrelevant. The threshold is not crossed, it is reached. Stability does not end, it shifts. What is aligned can also be separated. The system does not fail, it selects. Removal is not destruction, it is correction. What no longer fits is not moved, it is removed. Absence begins before disappearance. What is removed leaves no trace within the system. The system does not register absence, it continues. Continuity is maintained, even when structure is altered. When variation is removed, what remains is control. What remains is not balance, it is correction completed. Correction is not the end, it is preparation. What was contained begins to extend. The center does not hold, it spreads. What was separate becomes the same. The center was never fixed. It was temporary. What remains does not lead, it follows. There is no origin within the system, only continuation. What remains is no longer distinct. The system does not expand further, it stabilizes. Consistency is not maintained, it is enforced. Difference is not removed, it is no longer present. When nothing changes, the system is complete. Completion does not require continuation. The system no longer needs to operate. Silence is not absence, it is completion. Nothing remains to be altered. The world continues where nothing is known to have changed. Absence leaves no memory, only continuation. Nothing is missing because nothing is remembered. What has occurred leaves no trace within those who remain. Nothing marks the end of what was never understood. The system does not end. It remains where it was completed.